everyone. Welcome back to Build. I'm your host, Brittany Jones-Cooper. The OWN series, Queen Sugar, is coming back for a 4th season where we will continue to follow the lives and loves of the Bordelon siblings. Today, I'm sitting down with Dawn-Lyen Gardner, who plays Charley, a savvy businesswoman who's balancing the family sugar mill with rebuilding her personal life. Take a look.
I'm an American, and my family is an American family. Like all American families, we want the dream. Land, space, love. But we have a secret. Ugliness is also within us. I believe it is our secrets that are killing us.
We're here with Nova Bordelon, discussing her new memoir.
Say, I'm trying, Nova, just to understand why you do something like this. You know what I've been through.
Happy families don't sell books.
I don't care about selling books.
But you do care about the truth.
What's black and white on the pages of a book is often very gray in real life.
When an author becomes successful, not everyone can come along for the ride.
They're not everyone, they're my family.
I ain't your research, Nova. I'm your baby brother.
This is 300 pages of you telling the world how much you hate me, your only sister.
This will destroy the life that I have worked so hard to build.
Vi, what do you know?
All I know for sure, Ernest wouldn't let Nova out of his sight.
I never meant for things to come to this.
Have you lost your mind?
Put your hands together for Dawn-Lyen Gardner. That trailer is such an emotional ride. Do you feel the same way when you look at it?
I actually do, and I know what happens. I actually know what happens, and it's like, oh my gosh. It makes you sort of catch your breath.
Yeah, I love when I see a good trailer because, you know, obviously I've watched the show, and it's such a beautiful show, and it's so, I think, rooted in this family emotional world that is so complicated and sometimes hard to watch because it's so reflective of what we really go through, but it also makes it a joy to watch because you get to see your family kind of reflected in different ways, which is why I really love the show. I know this season there's gonna be a new showrunner.
Yes.
So how was that experience? Are things sort of similar, changing? What was the experience like for you?
Amazing, because this showrunner has been with the show as a writer for all 3 seasons, now 4. So he knows these characters so intimately. He loves them so passionately. It's been really joyous to have him at the helm. He is guiding it with that same vision that started it. So it's been really, really wonderful. That's Anthony Sparks, to shout him out for a moment.
How important is it for you to have a showrunner who loves these characters as much as you guys do?
It's crucial.
Yeah.
It's critical. You know, we really began the whole show with this intention to reflect these messy truths, to reflect these cultural truths, to really have a conversation, open a conversation around identity, around our society, around our relationship between those 2 things, and to do that highlighting a Black family. So to have a showrunner, which we've had all of these seasons really, but to have a showrunner who began with the show and is so passionate and cares as deeply as though he's a family member, you know what I mean? Because he's written for all of us for 4 years. So it's hugely critical.
And the drama, I think, is going to reach all new heights because of this book, Nova.
It's a bomb.
Come on, Nova.
It's a bomb.
I get it. The drama is enticing and you want to share it, and it's her story too, but is that going to be the main sort of source of drama?
It's a lot. It's a lot. I feel like
lot.
just a lot. Like I mean, we're not done. We're right in the middle of shooting, so I still don't know how the season ends. I don't know how it all. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. So it's a lot, and I think the word for this season, there's 2 words, but one of the main word is reckoning. It's a reckoning, and there's a lot that the audience knows that the world doesn't know. You know, there's a lot of territory that we've covered in the last 3 years that are essentially secrets. They're essentially family secrets. So it's a lot when your secrets are out there. And that's what we're seeing, is how does that impact not even just their relationships, but the rest of the world, and how the rest of the world regards them, the rest of their world, whether it's big or small.
And I think that's especially important for Charley because she's somebody who is so poised and carries herself a certain way through the world, you know, and I'm assuming she doesn't want people to know certain things about her because of the image she has.
Totally, totally. Charley has a very special relationship with control.
That's a really nice way to put it.
It's special. It's special. But also, she is a bit famous because of her husband, right? So she was, and the scandal and all that stuff. So she is also someone in the public eye. So it's not even just your business or your family's business. It's someone who's already in the world in a very public way, who is particularly sensitive about how they appear and what their image is saying about them and all of that. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
And Charley's been a character who she's been so fun to watch grow and change because really she had to leave a world and start again in this Louisiana world that she grew up in, but you know, she had been away from.
Right.
So what do you bring to her that's different now than you did in the beginning? Like what little things have you brought to her as she's kind of evolved and changed?
You know, well, one is just her own confrontation of herself. As fast and as hard as she goes in her outward life, and she goes hard. You know what I mean? She did rebuild her life, and she didn't just do it in a small way. She bought a mill, and like, you know what I mean? Like, she really goes big. It's go big or go home for her. So in that, though, she's sort of always running into herself. It's like as fast and as hard as she goes in her outward life, she runs right into whatever she's trying to run from or whatever she doesn't want to look at. So enter this book. So it's I feel like that what I've brought to her is that interest in that internal life. I just naturally want to know what my shadows are, and you know, want to know what my like thorny places are. And I think that part of her, she's learned or is learning to make peace with and learning to make friends with. And it's been a pleasure to play a character who has that special relationship with control and have it challenged constantly, again and again and again.
Have you pinpointed what it is that drives her? Is it just the legacy of her father? Is it her family? Is it her own self-pride? Like, what is it that really keeps her? Because she's so bold and dynamic, and she's always ready to kind of take on whatever obstacle is there.
Yeah. I think it's two things. One, it's an innate ability, an innate desire to express her ability, her genius to the fullest extent possible. It's innate. It's an absolutely innate thing to build for her. It doesn't make sense for her to sit on it. It doesn't make sense for her to wait. It doesn't make sense. It just makes sense to move, to go, to build it. You know, she can see it, it can happen. So that's innate. But I think the thing driving her through the show really is the promise she made to her father in the first episode in season 1 when she said, I'll fix it. So fixing it, you know, has taken on different iterations, you know, through the seasons. Last season, it looked like taking down that family. Like, that's what I'm going to try and do. And she wasn't complete with that and as successful as she thought she was going to be. And I think it's becoming clear that it's a bigger conversation. It's a bigger fight, perhaps, than just them. Yeah.
There's several think pieces on the internet about Charley and her superwoman persona and strong black woman kind of stereotype.
Yeah.
So what sort of feedback do you get from viewers just about how Charley carries herself? Is she too strong? Should she be more vulnerable? What kind of comments do they have?
It's really evolved since season 1. I think season 1, she was just coming back into the family, and she came back hard, and she came back believing she was right all the time, and that was not always the best move. So to watch viewers respond to her with like, whoa, that is just too much, and too like, we respect it, but just you're not giving room for anyone. And then also watching her sort of go through these epic things happening in her life. So it was also like, you're too much, but that's too much too. So we sort of get that you have to be that much to deal with that. And so there's been this, I feel like, push-pull relationship with seeing themselves in Charley, seeing in the best of her, in the go of her, in the sort of aspirational parts of people see themselves there, and also cringe. Because that same part of her, she's a superwoman and kryptonite at the same time. And it's a hard messy truth, I think, for many people to be both.
That's always been my thought about
Yeah.
Charley. I'll look at her and be like, ooh, I should maybe chill a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of women who are really ambitious and have an interesting relationship with control
Yes.
can see that, oh, okay, that can be grating, or these are
Yeah.
things. So she feels like this breathing character to me in so many ways, because I know a lot of women like her.
Totally. I know that just in playing her, I've had to look at myself and go like, oh, that's part of why I got this role, isn't it? Like, okay. And I think that there's also something to making room for all of it, making room for all these parts of yourselves, and embracing that shadow part, embracing the part that isn't as comfortable or doesn't make others as comfortable. She has no problem making people uncomfortable. And that is actually something I really admire. I've learned from her about that, and I've learned when that line is. I'm like, and now I think I'm actually hurting people. You know, it's like, so, but it's a line that I've been in such joy learning about in playing her.
And in her journey of kind of self-discovery and finding out, who she is and what she wants, she's finding love. I saw that Walter Perez is now going to be a series regular,
Yes, he is.
which gives me hope for the Charley Romero love story, because it looks like he's going to be around.
There's some sexiness coming for Charley. I think people, if there's anything that's been most frustrating for people, it's just like, I just want her to get some. I just want her to, like,
It might help.
finally, you know what I mean? It's like, but yeah, exactly. It might help. Just might relax. But I think that this has been a very unexpected entry into her life. It was completely random. There was no connection to her father, to her family, to all the drama and all the pain. It's sort of this blank slate. It's this neutral space. So I'm really happy with what's happened so far, and I don't know what's going to happen next because we're still shooting. But it's Walter's been so wonderful to play with, and he adds, he adds a different flavor to the mix.
Oh my God, in the finale, when I think he said, I love your joy.
Yes.
I stopped and rewound it immediately. I was like, what?
I
That's
know.
the most beautiful.
I know. I feel like when people watch it, they were just like, I needed that, It was beautiful. That's a shout out to Kat Candler and Anthony Sparks, who wrote that episode. Yeah.
What was the conversations around picking a love interest for her? His ethnicity, his career, everything. How did they decide, this is a person that would be good for Charley?
That's a good question for Kat and Anthony, but I know for me, I was glad to see that, he's Latino and I think there's a conversation happening around Black and Brown. I think there's an important conversation happening around allyship and just intersectional, issues that affect both communities. And I think that they wanted to explore that. That was a part of the conversation. But I think him being so outside of her world was another part of that. That him not being Black he just wasn't a part of any of what was happening for her. And it was a good break from the drama that was happening in her life. So I don't know. It's a good question for Kat and for Anthony. Yeah.
I just know that the show is always sort of on the cusp of what is going on in culture.
Mm-hmm.
The show never shies away from conversations about race and identity,
Mm-hmm.
police brutality. Is that something that still surprises you or encourages you as an actor to have a show that's really sort of reflecting what's going on in society?
It's been one of the biggest gifts of my life because it's allowed me to enter a more public space as an actor, talking about lots of things that I deeply, deeply care about, that are connected to my relationship with myself, my relationship with my family, my relationship with my society and politics and leadership and all the things that we are walking around thinking about processing. I've gotten to do that out loud a bit. So it's been this gift. It's grown me in ways that I didn't expect. A TV show, this is a job as an actor, and then all of a sudden it becomes so much more than that. Hearing responses from viewers really puts that into stark relief when you're like, oh, where this lives for people is so different than in other situations. It's really personal. It's really healing. It's bringing families together in conversations that had not happened. It's been a beautiful thing.
And that means a lot because you've been acting and performing since you were 9.
Yes. Yes, I have.
So
yeah.
have you had a role like that in your career that has made you feel this way, or is this sort of a unique experience for you?
Not on TV and not over time as can happen in TV, right? Like, you know, there have been roles in theater that really challenge you and stretch you, and those have been amazing. But that's a very limited experience because it's one show and that's the show that you do. This is an ongoing conversation over years. So we're having conversations with ourselves, how we're growing as people. We're having conversations with our audiences. We're having conversations with our families, our own families. I know I am. It's just a different, it's a different special animal that I just have never even thought that I could experience something. I really didn't. It was just outside of my realm of imagination. It doesn't mean I didn't call it. I called it in.
You manifested
I
it.
manifested it, but I didn't know that it would look like this or feel like this. And it's been game-changing. It's been game-changing for me. Yeah.
What do you credit the longevity of your career to?
Whew. Patience, my parents, because I never really heard from either one of my parents that I couldn't do this, or you should just rethink, or maybe shift gears, or I just got such sort of unreasonable support, you know, just unreasonable, like, okay, you know, my dad was a little nervous, but it was not like, we don't think this is a good idea. It was always just like, you know, it's possible. It's all possible. Just keep believing. I got that from beyond my parents. My whole family was like that. And they're just always proud of even any little small thing. So I think a lot of it was I invested time in the people who gave me that and who were my rocks. And I pursued projects that grew me. That really, I feel like it can be easy to slide into a cynical thing in our business, and the way to combat that is to ask why. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? What is important to me? What do I want to be a part of? What conversations mean something to me, and how can I contribute to them? That's been the driving question for me.
And has that why changed, like in your 20s versus your 30s? The projects that you're drawn to.
You know when that why changed? It was actually in my teens. It was in my teens. It was because before then, it's like you're 9. You know what I mean? Like you're having fun. You're making people smile. You're doing commercials. It's just something fun to do. And then as you get into your teen years, you begin to become aware of the world and your relationship with the world and what you're doing with your time in your life and how that's impacting others. And it just, my whole thinking shifted. So that's actually what happened, is that I was in the business at 9 till like 16. And then I sort of took a break and went to school and pursued like the answer to the question, why? Why am I doing this? What is this about for me, for real? Beyond it just being fun, beyond it being cool, but what's behind it? And I think through my 20s, that was really the driving question. Yeah. What
impact did going to Juilliard have on that process of you sort of figuring out what kind of artist you wanted to be?
It was huge. And, I didn't go into Juilliard sure that I wanted to be an actor. I actually it was not what I was necessarily heading towards. But I was like, well, I got in. And if there's anywhere that I'm going to answer that question, if I want to do this, it's going to be here. It's going to be here because it's just too hard. Like, it's too intense. And I really did, I really did go through some crises there of purpose, of what does feel like it's for me to do. And really, in my second year, I was debating if I should go into the more social justice realm because it was just throbbing for me. And I felt and found that it was in the art that I could do the work that I wanted to do in the social, but it's through story, and it's through the human heart, and it's through unpacking things like our messy truths and our shadows, that there may be transformative change that you just can't achieve any other way. And that's really what pulled me back in. It's that very basic sort of this feels like where I'm going to be of service, you know?
So in that, are you interested in ever stepping behind the camera?
Who talked to you about that?
Oh my God. I'm just like reading your vibe. And when you're so, when you meet somebody who's just so passionate about the subject matter, and you said social justice, it just seems like a natural progression that you would write or produce or even direct.
Yeah, well, that's what I actually first wanted to go to school for. Like Juilliard and acting wasn't, I really wanted to go for dramatic writing. So writing is my other sort of, now not secret. Yeah, the secret's out. But yeah, writing and directing, and I think I'm just so interested in the conversation. You know what I mean? Like, I love acting. I will always love it. There's something transformative that happens as an artist that can't happen any other way as an actor that you get to experience. But there's something else that happens as a creator who's seeing the bigger picture, who's in charge of the bigger picture, where you can direct the conversation differently. And so I know that somewhere, I don't know when and how, there's some things, but I can't talk about them yet. But I'm just really excited by them. So yeah, that's probably going to be a next step at some point.
Yeah, it totally has to be. I feel like whenever I kind of peek into the world of Ava DuVernay and all the people that are on her sets, it's such a creative space. And everybody then starts to level up and take on new things. And it kind of feels like an environment that encourages people to write and share their own narratives. Totally.
Leveling up is a really good way to put it, because that's exactly what it asks you to do. It's just level up. And yeah, sort of, she's contagious. You know what I mean? Like, it's spread in the best way. It spreads, and what spreads is, oh, I'm bigger than just one thing. You know, she's done so many things, and that's part of the lesson of Charley and the lesson of this character. You can be all the things. You can include all the things. It's taken me really a long time to get back to that, to get back to, this thing that I love to do, right? I can do this too. So it's been such an education, this whole thing, this whole experience, and just being led by Ava, being taught by her just in the way that she does things. It's its own journey, its own education.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I would love some Queen Sugar merch that says like, Charley, I can do all the things.
All the things.
Just an idea.
Yeah, I love that actually.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We do have a couple of questions.
Okay.
The first one comes from Twitter. Idolese1 wants to know, will we see you in the theater anytime soon? Oh yeah, on stage.
Hi, you're so wonderful. She's so great. Good question. Will you see me on the theater? I've been considering it. I would love to. I would really love to. It's a timing thing, you know? It's a timing thing more than anything. But I so miss it. I so miss it. In fact, I'm here in New York for a few days, and I'm just getting in like a play reading with a friend, you know, just so I can just get something to work on theatrically. But I want to, and I am planning to when the timing's right. Yes.
Do you try to see shows when you're in the city too?
I do. This weekend's actually going to be a little impossible for me to do that, but I do. In fact, I have a great story about Kofi and Rutina. Our first season, we ended up coming to New York, I think for Memorial Day, and no one knew who the show hadn't even premiered. But Kofi hadn't ever seen theater before, ever. And so we brought me and Rutina, brought him to New York for Memorial Day, and we all stayed in this hotel room. We just had like a sibling weekend, and we saw 4 shows in 2 days. And the first show was Hamilton. Oh God! We ruined him forever. Forever. We were like, I'm so sorry, and I'm not, because it was amazing. But it was amazing to go back to back to back to back. Incredible shows, all different, some Broadway, some off-Broadway, just incredible shows. And all of them people of color. It was amazing. It was an amazing experience. So yeah, it is always my goal to not only just support, but to just engage with this community that I love deeply.
On that note, Much Ado, Shakespeare in the Park.
I have heard.
Yeah, I think you'd really love it.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it.
If you have time.
I'm trying to sneak away.
Please do.
Yes.
It is so phenomenal. Daniel Brooks is like a revelation. Next question.
Hi, Dawn.
Hi.
I am deeply connected with Queen Sugar. I love Charlie's role. And I wanted to ask, based on my observation, I noticed that there is constant emotional wound reentry with the siblings that takes place. And with Nova dropping this bombshell book, is there going to finally be a space for them to have restoration and peace amongst the siblings?
That's a very good question. And I wish that I could answer it because I can't, because I'm not at the end of the season yet, so I don't know. But I think that phrase is a really great one, wound reentry. That's a brilliant way to put it. I think that's something that the show's brilliant at, is allowing things to live on beyond an episode, beyond a season, as they do in life, and allowing us to need to process it and to do it in a way that's honest and authentic and feels like, yeah, I believe that. And so as a viewer, I'm healing. I'm healing in my own way. So I don't know. I don't know yet. Remains to be seen. I wish I could say something more. I literally have no idea.
Yeah. Good question. I want to know too.
Good question. Yeah.
Hi. You touched on this a little earlier with your character Charley and the way that, you know, her relationship with control, it affects her decisions and her choices. And I was wondering if in playing Charley that you've noticed, you know, an influence in the way that you make decisions or that you make choices.
Yes, girl. So, yeah, I think two things have happened. One, I've noticed how much control is at play in my own life. Like I've noticed, wow, I see myself in this, or this feels really easy. Why does this feel like it's a practiced muscle? And in ways that I've been in denial about a bit, you know, where I would say something and then like my fiance would be like, oh, you don't know that you don't know this about yourself. So it's like recognizing some of that. And then there's the other part of it of not being as comfortable taking up space the way that she is. And some of that is about her control. Some of that is about what she intends to happen and what she's going to ensure happens, and being willing to do that in my life. It's like, it's both. I'm working on the stuff that doesn't work so well, and I'm also inviting the stuff that I'm like, I want and need more of that. It's been a learning process, like learning from her too. So it's a blessing and a curse, but mostly a blessing, I think. I hope.
Well, Charley is definitely a blessing. I think
She's a blessing.
Such a dynamic character. To watch her in her sibling relationships, to watch her mother and sort of deal with those control issues, like I said, is so relatable and fun to watch. And I know 4th season will not let us down.
No, more of her coming.
You guys want to check it out? The 4th season of Queen Sugar premieres on OWN at 9/8 Central on June 12th. Please put your hands together for Dawn.